Yo, it's Glenn with DFS Proptology, and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be discussing some early NFL props that were released, specifically some running backs with fantastic matchups heading into Week 8. First, let's recap what happened last week. Pretty good week overall. Underdog is releasing Profit Boost every day in the month of October, so I played as many as I could. I made a bunch of $5 cards, made a bunch of $10 cards, ended up with about $90 in play by kickoff on Sunday, and I won a couple cards on Sunday. And I still had 4 cards alive heading into Monday that each only needed either 1 or 2 wins. And unfortunately, only Derrick Henry came through for me on Monday. But I did win another card Monday night. I made a little live bet right before halftime, and that worked out, so that was good. So overall, it was a good week. It was just a little bit frustrating because it was so close to being a great week. This is an absolute train of horse shit here. 8 different cards on Sunday finished 1 play away from hitting. Some dumbass shit had to go on for at least a couple of these not to hit. That's just the way it goes sometimes, guys. Prop betting on these pick'em sites, you just got to take the good with the bad. And you got to accept that some days, and it's not every day, but some days, prop betting on these sites is kind of going to feel like trying to jerk off a super glue. Because it's going to be painful. It's not going to work very well. Yeah, you know what? That's the analogy that I'm, well, sticking with.
My son is sitting here right now with his hand glued to his penis.
Now, I'm not going to complain about a week where I was profitable, but if somebody had asked me last night how I was feeling after the end of those 2 games, it probably would have went something like this.
Fuck you, you're cool, and fuck you, I'm out.
This chart shows the 12 teams giving up the most yardage on the ground to running backs so far this season. We're going to focus on the 5 teams giving up the absolute most yards on the ground this year and the running backs that they're facing this week. First up, we have Aaron Jones facing the Los Angeles Rams, who have been giving up 121 yards per game. In his last game, Jones faced the Detroit Lions, a very tough rush defense. He rushed 14 times for 93 yards. The game before that, pretty tough rush defense against the Jets again, not as successful. 7 rushes for only 29 yards. At Green Bay, a nice revenge game for Jones. He rushed 22 times for 93 yards. And then versus Houston, 19 rushes for 102 yards. Now we got Javonte Williams facing the worst rush defense in the league, the Carolina Panthers, who are giving up over 133 yards per game. Last week, Williams went up against New Orleans, rushed 14 times for 88 yards. Against the Chargers, the week before that, only 6 rushes for just 23 yards. Not a very good game there. But against the Raiders, a decent game, 13 rushes for 61 yards. And then another tough rush defense he faced a month ago, the New York Jets, 16 rushes for 77 yards. James Cook is facing the Seattle Seahawks, who are giving up 129 yards per game. Last week, Cook faced Tennessee, rushed 12 times for only 32 yards. Versus Houston, he rushed 20 times for 82 yards. Against Baltimore, a tough rush defense, 9 times for only 39 yards. And against Jacksonville, 11 rushes for 78 yards. Cook has missed 1 game in the last month due to injury. And in that game, Ray Davis stepped in, rushed 20 times for 97 yards against the Jets. And last week against Tennessee, Davis rushed only 6 times, but was more efficient than Cook. He got 41 yards. So maybe keep your eye on that line when it comes out as well. Joe Mixon will be facing the Colts, who are giving up 125 yards per game. Last week versus Green Bay, Mixon rushed 25 times for 115 yards. The week before that versus New England, he had 13 rushes for 102 yards. His last game before that, he was injured. That was versus Chicago. He only had 9 rushes for 25 yards. But the week before that, he faces the same opponent that he's facing this week, the Colts, and he had 30 rushes for 159 yards. And then we got Breece Hall at the New England Patriots, who are giving up over 122 yards per game. Now, Hall's had some rough games recently. Against Pittsburgh, only 12 rushes for 38 yards. He had a great game against Buffalo, where he rushed 18 times for 113 yards. But then 2 horrible games. One versus Minnesota, 9 rushes for 23 yards. And then what happened in Denver? 10 rushes for 4 yards. I had to go back and make sure I wrote that down right. What interests me in Hall, I would wait and see what his receiving prop comes out at, or maybe combined rushing and receiving. because since Robert Sala's firing the last 2 weeks, Hall's received 15 targets, 11 receptions for 159 yards. New England is 15th versus receiving yards to running backs at 33 yards per game.
You know, I've been playing football all my life. If I did not play football, I would not be playing football today. This has been an announcement from the MFL, the NFL, the National Football League. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, that's our video for today. Good luck with all your props this week. Remember to like, give me a subscribe, leave a comment, and remember, bet, pray, win.